Welcome to the class. I am creating all new videos because the direction now is to include architecture and construction and all of the other disciplines towards the end of the semester. We're going to start with a basic project for you to understand the interface. Some of you have already used Revit before, so this might be a little review in the beginning. I just want to point out to you that when you start this software, you'll need to go to the Start button at the bottom there and go to Autodesk right here. Now, be very careful that you're not using the viewer. If you start with the viewer, you won't be able to save it. And Revit doesn't interchange between the different versions like AutoCAD does. So if you're using an older software of Revit, you won't be able to open the new ones, and vice versa. Just to keep that in mind for this software. It's also not available for Macs, and preferred to have a PC for both AutoCAD and Revit. So let's go ahead and click on the Revit 2025. Once you get to this screen here, you can take a look. There are models and there are families. We're not talking about families right now. Families would be like blocks in AutoCAD. What we're going to do here is under models, we're going to pick new. So go ahead and click on new. Now this is important because they've made the default this Imperial Multidiscipline one. We don't want that one. We want something that's basic that we can learn from. So let's go ahead and pick the browse button, and you'll see all of these other templates that you can use that start the projects with different settings and different families and objects inside the file. So we're going to use this very basic one so that you can learn how to set it up and access those things. So here is the default RTE, which is the template file that has, basic out of the box settings. Let's go ahead and double click on default.rte, or default if your list doesn't show the RTE. And then go ahead and pick OK, because we're creating a project. We're not creating a template. Go ahead and pick OK. This is part of what we're going to create for this video, but I did forget to save the file. So here I'm going to go back, which you haven't created this yet, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. Go up to File and pick Save. And then navigate over to where you want to save your drawing. So you'll need to find the folder that you want to use. Change your project name to Assignment 1. I think we want to call this Getting Started, just so that we know which videos that we're using. So Assignment 1, Getting Started. Let's go ahead and put your full name. So Assignment 1, Getting Started, go ahead and put your full name right there. Okay, so now go ahead and pick Save. Okay, once you're set up inside the interface, you can see that we have these different panels that are inside the ribbon. At the top, we have an architecture tab, and we're going to stay in the architecture tab as we move forward. Now, typically, there are these two panels that we use a lot of. One is called Properties, and the other one is called Project Browser. I like to be able to see the whole thing for you to learn it. So we're going to undock the properties and then redock it over on the right-hand side. So to do that, we're going to hold your left mouse button down right here next to where it says properties and just drag that whole menu out to the middle of the screen. So you see now I can see my entire project browser, and I'm going to pick it up, and this is kind of the hard part. You have to bring it over to the right-hand side and hold your left mouse button down and wait for it to go all the way over. You see how you have to wait for it to show that kind of image there? I mean, you see you might be too close to the top and get that. You don't want that. So you want to go down here and keep going all the way over until you see that, and then let go. So now we can clearly see we've got the project browser on that side, the properties on that side. Now these do close now and then, and to reopen them, one way is to right click, and you'll see that there's a check mark here for properties for the one on the right hand side. And then over here where it says browsers, you have a check mark for the project browser. So those two should always be on and open as we're going through the learning experience of the software. All right, so we can use the wheel of our mouse to pan and zoom around as we do in other software programs like AutoCAD. So you can use the wheel of your mouse to roll the wheel here to view. You can hold the wheel down to kind of pan, and you can also double click on the wheel. We're talking about the wheel of the mouse, right? Not the buttons. The wheel that's between the buttons, that's one option. If you don't have that, I would recommend that you have a mouse with the wheel. You can go over here to the navigation bar and use this 2D wheel. This is if you don't have a mouse at all. Let's say you're working on your laptop or one with the wheel. You could click on this wheel, and there it is. You've got the pan and the zoom. Rewind is like zooming previous, but we haven't really used any views yet. So let's hold your left mouse button down on pan. You'll see that. Hold your left mouse button down on zoom, and zoom up and down. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and close this. I won't mention that again because just wanted to point out a few things in this beginning class. You'll see all these icons that are kind of clear on what they do. And want to point out to you that these boxes with triangles will establish the view of your elevations. So we're creating one model, and from that one model, we're going to be able to see these different views over here in the project browser. So once we establish a building, all of these are pointing towards your elevations, and that's where these are right here. All right, so let's get started. You can just go ahead and click on the word wall right there, the icon that says wall. And once you do that, stop and take a look at all of these different options. The first thing you'll see is that we want to draw the height, but we don't want the height to be unconnected. So the drop down next to height is unconnected. We want to make that level 2 because right now we're on level 1 and we want the walls to go to level 2 right there. So they will automatically go to whatever height is set in level 2, and we'll take a look at that. We are going to keep the other defaults, but you can see that the location of the points that we pick for these walls is going to be in the center. So you see there are times when we want to go along the outside face of it, but let's keep that at center. We want to create a chain, so we want to connect all the walls as we start to draw it. We don't need an offset. That would be if you wanted to offset it from the points that you're picking. Also, this draw panel right here shows you all the different ways that you can draw walls. So this would be if I wanted to draw a circular wall. And so what we're going to start with is something basic. Instead of using lines, we're going to very quickly draw this rectangle. We're going to draw a building with the rectangle. So let's go ahead and click on rectangle. And now it doesn't matter what size, everyone will have a different size. We're going to be able to modify it as we move forward. You can click a point and let go of your mouse. Some people like drag it, but we want to let go of the mouse. Pull your mouse over here and click. And so before you exit out of this or complete the command, just take a look at a few things. We, in properties, just use the basic wall, generic 8-inch. And you can see that there are so many other walls that we're going to be using. But we want to stay with the basic generic 8-inch wall. And we also have these kind of temporary dimensions that tell us what we just used, so that we can finish the command and move forward. And I'll show you some other things. This is where you have a choice of either escaping, right-click and canceling, or what I like to do is click on this modify button at the top left. I know it should be called escape, but for some reason we're just going to go ahead and click on this modify button. And what that does is it takes us completely out of, you can just click on it once. It takes you completely out of the command. You don't have to press escape a bunch of times to get back to going to the next tool. All right, so we've got these walls. If you want to know, see what you just drew in 3D, right? The first time that you set up 3D, you don't see it in the project browser, the 3D view. Up at the very top, you'll see a little house icon right here. You can click on that, the little house icon right there. And that's going to bring you over to the 3D view. And you see how it creates the 3D view over here in the project browser? So now you can kind of see that, yeah, we created a wall from level 1 to level 2. Okay, I'm going to give you a lot of different things here that we're going to be using throughout the semester. So you won't need to memorize it all. We're going to practice, practice, practice. If you hold your shift key, now that you're in the 3D view, if you hold your shift key and the wheel of your mouse, both at the same time, and you move your mouse, you're actually orbiting. You're orbiting around to take a look at this 3D model. And just like AutoCAD, we have this view cube that we can use to get to all of the different views. If you don't have a mouse, you can also use this wheel, and it becomes a full navigation wheel that also has orbit on it. So for now, just wanted to point out to you that we have a 3D view here, and it also creates a tab as well right there. So at this point, let's go back to the level 1. Now, to get back to level 1, you can either click on this tab right here to get back to it because it's open right there, or you can double click right here on level 1. One of the reasons I like to double click over here in the project browser is that if you had 2 projects open at the same time and both of those level 1s were tabs and they weren't like renamed, then you would have 2 level 1 tabs. So it it's a choice to click on the level 1 tab or double click on level 1 to go to it. All right. Also, I wanted to point out to you that because we have these elevation markers, you can come over here to the views that are in elevation and double click. So let's double click, for instance, on the east elevation. See, when you double click on the east elevation, it opens up a tab and you have these different levels. Now, we're going to be able to change the levels and work with that in so many different ways. I'm just trying to keep it basic so that you can get familiar with the software. For those of you who have never seen this software before. So let's go over back to level 1. All right. So if you click on one of your walls, you'll see that the little arrows are always going to be on the outside. So if you're looking at the drawing and you see drywall on the outside and the brick is in the inside, it needs to be flipped. You can go back over here to the floor plan, click on these little arrows, and you see how it'll just flip it so that it's kind of orientated the other way. But what you want to do is make sure that these walls, which they will be by default, have the arrow on the outside. It's the same thing with windows and doors as well. So with that wall selected, you can hold your left mouse button down and just drag this wall to change it. You can also click right on this temporary dimension right there and type in a different number. So in Revit, if I want it to be 40 feet, I'm just going to type in 40 and enter. You don't have to type in the feet. you really have to type in the inches. It's like complete opposite of AutoCAD. So in this software, Revit software, you're going to type in the feet. Now, if I wanted it to be 40 feet, 6 inches, I'm going to click on this. I'm going to type in 40 and then space and then 6. That's it. 40 space 6. I'll click in space here, and I've just changed it to 40 foot 6. So it's the object that you have selected, right? So if I click on this wall and I want to change that one, I can drag it around like the other one, or I can click on this number right there. Yours doesn't have to be the same number as mine, guys. We're just practicing here. Maybe I'd like this to be 50, so I'm going to type in 50, and then I'm going to enter or click in space. Okay, to keep it basic, we're going to create a floor and a roof and put some doors and windows in so that you can get started with the basic model. So let's go ahead and put some doors and windows in here. You can click on the door icon right there, and then you'll see that what's loaded in this drawing is just a single flush door. We're going to just start with that. Go to the wall, and when you go close to the wall, you'll see the door. You can go to the outside or the inside, and while you're there, before you click, you can press and let go of the space bar. See how when I press and let go of the space bar, I'm changing the swing of it? So if I wanted it to go over here, I'm going to go ahead and click. Let's say you put a door right there. And I'll just go ahead and put another door right here. And we'll talk about moving it around and working with it in a minute. Now, use your escape key or go up to this modify button right there to get out of it, to kind of like get all those grips and blue temporary dimensions off there. So here, let's just go close to one of these doors. You can use your wheel of your mouse, right? You can click on the door and use these little arrows to change the direction of it, right? Like that. My neighbor is building a huge addition to his house, so you'll hear some hammering going on in the background. And then so this, anytime you have an object like this, you can select it and see what it can do with these little grips and different parameters that you can change. And like I said before, you can just hold your left mouse button down and drag that door around. Now, one thing about these temporary dimensions right here is that you have these blue little balls right there. See those? So let's say I wanted to have this distance between the wall and the back of the door 1 foot, let's just say. I can hold my left mouse button down on that little blue ball and bring it over to this door right there and let go. See what it does? And now I can hold this one down, that little blue ball, hold it down and pull it over to the wall. Now what I had to do there was I had to, in order for me to move this over to this wall, I had to press and let go of the tab key. So you have to select the dimension, select the door, hold your left mouse button down on that little blue ball, and then you see how it locks me into just the center? But if I press and let go of my tab key, see how I'm able to now get that witness line right on that wall. It's a little tricky. It is a little tricky. I'll show you that with the walls as well. So you can hold the left mouse button down and drag it to different points on the wall. But in this case, because we were going within the wall, we had to press and let go of the tab key in order to get it to go over to this wall. I'll show you that again later when we work on the walls. So let's go ahead and then click here in this number, type in 1 and enter. And now I'm using these witness dimensions or lines to set up the dimension between the wall and the door is 1 foot. All right, so let's look at that concept again over here. So you click on the door and you can then drag this witness line over to this door. And then if you drag the door over, you see how you're really establishing a distance between the center of the wall and the door. So this is the tricky part, right? And this does happen also when we're dimensioning later on in the semester. If you find that it doesn't recognize these little points, you can hold your left mouse button down on this little witness line, pull it over here. You see how it's going to like lock me into the wall, but I can go over here, but I need the wall. So I'll go close to the wall that I need and press the tab key and then let go. It tabs over to where you have your pointer, and now you've moved the witness line over there. This is a little detailed for what I wanted to do for this project, but I wanted to point out to you that these witness lines are great for us to put them where we need them and then change the dimension. So I might want that to be 1 foot, type in a 1 and enter, and I've got it. Okay, in case you were wondering, that's what those are for. And let's say that I wanted to put this one here too. So the same thing. Instead of it being in the center, you can hold your left mouse button down on it. You see how it's just going to like lock into the center, but I'm going to put my pointer close to this inside edge and tab so that I can tab over to it and then let go. So I changed it there. So this is going to be a way to modify it once you've already drawn it from the center. All right. Little more detailed than what I wanted to get, but here we are. Now we want to put a window in here, keeping it basic because we'll come back to this and work with it. Click on window. The default windows are loaded in this one. You have the casement and the double hung over in properties. So you can come over here and place a fixed window. You can change the size of it too. Maybe you want it to be bigger, even bigger. And here you want to make sure that you click on the outside of the wall right there. I'm going to show you why. If I click here to put the window in, you see those double lines right there? The double lines need to be on the outside, and that's where the window is, on the outside of the sill. And so maybe I want to put a different one in here, a double hung window. I know this facade's elevation is going to look a little different, but because I'll have different windows, but this is kind of our practice project. Double hung casement windows. Casement windows are the ones that open up. You kind of like reel you turn the wheel there or the handle and they kind of open up. There it is. I just placed them all, but you can see that there are these witness lines as well here. I'm going to either escape with my escape key or click the modify button right there. Sometimes you can even right click them to cancel, but sometimes you have to do that 2 or 3 times, right? So when you click on these windows, you should be able to then see the little double line arrow on the outside. All right, just getting started here. Let's put a floor in. We can go over to floor. We're on our first level, floor architectural. And just like the wall, we have this draw panel. And more importantly, we are in a sketch mode. This is something I wanted you to take away from this project as well. A sketch mode. And we'll know we're in the sketch mode because everything is colorful up at the top. The ribbon is all colorful. You've got a new tab right there. You've got this huge red X and green check mark. And also everything else is kind of grayed out and blocked out. So look, I can't access anything in the architecture tab, and I'm only in this one because I'm in the sketch mode. And so now I want to add a floor. Let's just say we want to add it so that it's built on the inside of the wall. Make it simple. We'll change that later. Go ahead and click on rectangle inside the draw menu here. I'm going to click the top left corner and the bottom right corner, just like that. That's our floor. We're using the generic 12-inch floor, but you can see all these other ones that we can use as well as we get started with creating projects. It will be more specific. And now we're not going to slope it, and we're going to pick the green check mark. The green check mark tells us that we want to finish it, and now we have our floor. There's our floor. Now, if we needed a hole in the floor for stairs that go through, then in that draw mode, we just draw a rectangle inside in order to create a hole, right? Okay, so that's our floor. Let's go to the level two and create a roof. So I'm picking up every system in this first project for you to get the experience. Double click on level 2. We want the roof to be on or start on the level 2, not on the level 1. If you put the roof on the level 1, the whole thing would be down at the floor. So double click on level 2. And now, just like the floor, we're going to go into a sketch mode. We're going to go to roof and roof by footprint. Now, eventually we're going to have entire videos that show you all about roofs. We're going to go through all those different things that you can do for the roof, but for now, basics. If I rest my pointer on roof by footprint, you can see what we're sketching. We're sketching a purple line. I'm just going to go back to this. That has arrows on the portions of the roof that are going to slope. You see this image here? Only the arrows are only on the edges of the roof that are going to slope. You see the two gable ends, two flat ends, don't have arrows. So we're just going to go ahead and pick roof by footprint. And it's all about this right here, defining a slope. That's going to give you the arrow, but we want to have an overhang, right? So let's change the overhang here at the top left to 1. That's going to be a 1-foot overhang. And because there's a check mark in define slope, I'm going to come over here, get close to this top wall, make sure the hidden line, which is the overhang, is showing, and click. You see how there's an arrow, triangle? There's a little triangle, and it shows you the roof pitch by default. I'm going to come over here at the bottom outside wall, and click. Now I know that those two walls, those two roofs are going to slope up. Now I'm going to take the check mark out of define slope, and I'm going to click on this wall and this wall. And that's it. That's our sketch. Now I'm in the sketch mode, so at this point I can escape out of that and go change them or draw something. And I am using here the basic 12-inch roof. We're going to be able to modify that. I'm going to show you how to change things and make them right for your project. You are in the sketch mode, so before you can do anything else, you're going to pick the green check mark to kind of get out of the sketch mode. Now, the only reason that the roof is not showing here is that each one of these levels is defined with a range. So although it's still there, it's being cut off because the view range is shorter. So if we want to see the roof in our level 2, let's go ahead and escape or click off of this so that it's not selected, nothing selected. We want to see the roof in our level 2. Under properties, down here at the bottom, you'll see view range. I'm going to go ahead and click on edit. You see that each one of these views is taking this one model and showing that much. It's showing from 0 to 7'6" with the cut plane of 4 and 4 feet. So we're going to change the top here to something bigger, like let's just use 30 feet. That means that we're going to see from 0 to all the way up to 30 feet. And we don't want a cut plane here. So we're going to make that 30 too, as well. So both of these are 30, giving us this higher range to be able to see in this level, right? So the top and the cut plane are changed to 30 feet. Let's go ahead and think, okay. And now I can see my roof. I can see my roof in this level. Now, in older releases of Revit, you may not be able to, when you double click on level 2, see the level 1 walls. I just wanted to point that out to you because in this release, under properties, look under underlay. Underlay has the range base of level 1 and the top is level 2. So this is establishing for us that we can look down and see level 1 in this view. And that's what we want so that we can use it to put the roof on. And we'll come back to that as we start to modify it. All right, so now we have a floor, we have walls, we have a roof. Let's go over here to the level 3 or 3D view. And you can get there by double clicking on this 3D over in the project browser, or you can click on the tab right there. And there's our roof that we created. You'll see if you hold your shift key and the wheel of your mouse that these walls didn't go up to the roof. So we're going to do that right now. We can click right on that wall and then click on the wall and look in this ribbon. It says attach top base. So you click on the wall, you click on attach top base, and then click on the roof. And there it is. So now I'm going to hold my shift key and the wheel of the mouse, come over to the other side and do the same thing. I'm going to click on the wall, click attach top, and then top base, and then click on the roof. So what did we do now? I'm clicking in space. We created a floor. We put some walls in, doors and windows, and we have a roof. Yay! I know this is our very first project, and I think some people are still downloading. I'd love to be able to continue to show you more. You go ahead and create your own design and just kind of like play around with this a little bit. Yours does not have to look exactly like mine. And in fact, no two projects should look, the same or have the same dimensions. So let's explore using those basic tools that we just looked at today. Just wanted to point out to you that you can go back over here to some of these elevations and kind of like see that it's been developed as an elevation. Every time you double click on a view in the project browser, you are going to open up one of these tabs, and so eventually you want to be careful like how many you have open. You may want to close some of them and explore those basic things that we're looking at here in our first week.